welcome to The Financial Operator. I am here with Cory of Cool Foam, and Cory has a really cool story. I've gotten to know him a lot over the last couple of months as we have been working together, but I am really excited to talk to you today and probably find out a lot more about you and your past and how you got started and how you got to the point you are today. So, Cory, welcome.
Hi, Jen. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm always willing to come talk about myself.
Yeah, let's dive in. Okay, tell me about your business, what it is, how you got started, all of the details.
Absolutely. So, I'm Cory Boehs. I'm the owner of Cool Foam. We're a spray foam insulation and other insulation product business in Northwest Oklahoma. And I started it in 2007. I was working for my dad doing general contracting, like framing houses, things like that. And I grew up in a very conservative Mennonite group and left school at 8th grade. And my dream for as early as I can remember was to run my dad's general contracting business, Boehs Construction. And I got the opportunity to do that at 24 and did it for 16 months. And it was just like drinking from a fire hose. Like, I'd been framing houses for however many, 10 years at that point, running my own crew, loved that. But then, and I thought that I wanted to run the whole business, and Dad was starting a hardware store. And so he just threw the general contracting business at me. We were building 12 to 15 custom houses a year, and just threw me in the driver's seat, doing all the bidding. I'm having to learn Microsoft Excel and building spreadsheets and all this stuff. And I'm a 24-year-old kid, and I felt at that point so out of my element. And so in 16 months, I went back to his office. I'm like, Dad, I can't do this. And I was bawling, I think, and just, put me back on the crew. And so that's what we did. He took it back over. And he could do that work in a day, what was taking me all week. Mm-hmm. So I went back out on the crew. Well, then what happened is, that was at that point, I'd been out of my comfort zone for so long. Getting back on the framing crew was boring. And I started missing doing the estimates, talking with people. I started to realize how much it fired me up. So that's when I started Cool Foam. I started doing that nights and weekends. Like the first job or the first couple jobs that we did, the learning curve there was massive. I didn't know at that point we were just doing spray foam. And Suzanne, my wife, and was helping me do that. And I still remember the first big house that we did. I was spraying by myself. She was cleaning up behind me, doing the prep work. And our son, who's 18 now, we had him in a playpen in the front yard at 5 months old while she was helping. So it was truly a mom and pop business at that point. And got her start doing that, and did it nights and weekends for 3 years. Still kept framing houses for my dad, and then in 2010 went full time with it and started building it up. So question, because I don't think I've ever asked you this before. So you quit doing the general contracting for him, but you decided that you actually did want to own a business. So what made you want to start a new one rather than just kind of slowly taking over the general contracting again? I'm 44 now, and I think I'm finally learning how to slow down. That has not ever been, that's a great question, because one of the things that I thought then, and it still may be true, that one of the biggest stressors was managing someone else's business and their goals and visions and their money. That was really stressful for me. My personality is such, I would rather, it's a lot more stressful and takes more energy to gamble with someone else's money than my own. Mm-hmm. And it was never even a thought for me at that point to go back to Boehs Construction or to to do that with Dad. And like we had a great relationship and still do. I mean, it's changed. We've transitioned out of the Mennonite faith, and so there's been some challenges with that. But yeah, I wanted to do my own thing and build my own company and vision and all that. So
gotcha. Okay. And so, not that it's easier, because it's never easier to start a business from scratch, right? But it's a easier learning curve, right? When you're just having to do one job at a time and figure it out for yourself, and you're the one doing the work. You get to control all of those different pieces of it, rather than like taking over something that's been going for who knows how long. Probably decades, right?
Yeah, I mean, because Dad took over base construction from his dad back in the 80s.
We're like multi-generational.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot of pressure. I can understand. All right, so you started Cool Foam, and what made you pick spray foam? Is it just something that was like, complementary to what you were already doing?
Yeah, so Suzanne and I built our own house in 2005, and then I started Cool Foam in 2007. And I was intrigued by the process, and then that was right when spray foam was coming in, at least in Northwest Oklahoma. We had never really used it before then, and then customers started asking. They wanted our houses spray foamed instead of the traditional way. And it fascinated me. And then watching, my cousin came up from Mississippi to do our house, and watching like just how he went about things, I'm like, man, there's got to be an easier way. And then we had at Base Construction, we had quite a bit of spray foam work to do, and it felt like a natural fit. And I was just intrigued with the process, of building a rig and then going and spraying. And I mean, if I would have known what it was going to take, I don't know that I would have had the guts to start, but I'm so grateful that I did. It's been one of the biggest learning. It's made me who I am in a lot of different ways. So,
all right. So you've been in business 18 years.
18 years.
Getting close to 20. What has helped you have that longevity?
Stubbornness, at times stubbornness, and just keeping learning the lessons. I mean, and we can get into some of the things that why I hired you as a fractional CFO, because I think that ties in there.
Okay, so give me an example of some of the troubles that you had over the years. I'm sure there are probably some that you want to forget. But.
So, since we're talking about the origin story, so the internet was brand new back then, or I mean not brand new, but so I'm spending
much different for sure.
Yeah, like I'm at the office before work, before the crew comes in, researching spray foam. And then I'd go out and work for the day before I found, and I decided I was going to build my own spray foam rig. I was not mechanically inclined at all, but I did my research and hired or bought my equipment from what I thought was a local company. Turns out one guy that was exiting the company lived 90 miles from where we were. But the main owner was in Louisiana. So the guy, I purchased the equipment, and I purchased from them because I've got someone local that can troubleshoot with me and help me out. Well, the guy drives up from Louisiana. We throw this equipment in a trailer, and let me paint the picture even better. So spray foam, you've got to have a generator, an air compressor, the foam proportioner. There's a lot of moving parts. It's different than a trailer with framing equipment in it or something like that. So we throw this equipment in on a Friday or on an afternoon at 3:00. We get to spraying a house after dark. The guy just bombs through how to turn the machine on, all this stuff. We're spraying by flashlight. He sprays for 30 minutes with me. And I'm like, well, okay, see you in the morning. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm heading back to Louisiana tonight. And so I get there the next morning. I don't even know how to turn on the machine. And it was like that first house took like 4 days and total gun problems because I didn't have an air dryer drying out my air on the equipment. And so I got 2 jobs done and then went down to Texas and got some training and had a guy help me set it up. But that was the first big challenge. It's just I was so far over my head.
Yeah, so like you're literally starting from scratch. You don't even know what you don't know at all. Yeah. Had no clue that you should be wearing gloves with this chemical. Oversprayed a pickup sitting outside the house because I didn't have it prepped right. Just all the things. Hopefully you had some kind first customers, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very kind. But, and it's so interesting how, that leaving Dad, I felt at that time like I was leaving my dad in a lurch, giving him back base construction. And there was a determination that I was never going to fail like that again. Mm-hmm. And that is what carried me through a lot of that. And, now what's interesting is that grit, that fear of failure is only going to take you so far, or at least it took me only so far. And I've had to reconfigure that drive into looking forward and what I want to build in Cool Foam rather than operating out of fear that I'm going to fail.
Mm-hmm. So. All right. Well, let's talk about that a little bit then, because like I mentioned, I've been working with you for a couple months now, and I feel like every day you're like dripping new dreams to me, like what you want to do. I don't know if that's like, I don't want to overwhelm her at first with what we're trying to accomplish. You're just like, oh yeah, this is also what I'm trying to get to. But you have some really big dreams for your future, for Cool Foam. So tell me a little bit about that, and then we can kind of piece together, the lessons that you've learned in order to get there.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I've caught you up totally. So
that's not surprising. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, oh, there's something new we're doing. Okay.
So my dream with Cool Foam is to make it into a revenue generating machine that runs without me being in day-to-day sale or day-to-day operations. And so, right now what that looks like is hiring a virtual assistant to help build out SOPs. Right now I'm in sales and, realizing that there's so much stuff trapped in my brain. But for my goals for Cool Foam is to turn it in, like I want to hit 500,000 in EBITDA in 2 to 3 years, and I'm going to build SOPs out. We're going to build SOPs out in such a way that we could franchise Cool Foam if we decide to. But that's not all. My biggest goal is, just with the experience and everything that the experiences I've had, from leaving the faith that I grew up with, I was pretty rocky with. I used to be a heavy drinker. I used to be 80 pounds heavier than what I am right now. It was not healthy at all. With that transformation, with the transformation that's happening right now in Cool Foam, I want, my ultimate goal is to build a community called Brave Build that helps other contractors level up their lives in all areas, because it seems like there's silos. There's the transformation guys for your body. There's the spiritual transformation silo. There's the business transformation, but for so long I viewed success on a number in a bank account, and that's all I viewed success. I didn't factor in my relationship with my wife, my kids, my body, my health, my overall health. And I felt like a failure for so long because that number I had in my head, it wasn't what Cool Foam was spinning off. And so to me, true success looks like that you're successful across your life, not just in business or in health or things like that. And so that's my big dream.
Okay, that one's not a surprise to me. So luckily we've already talked about that. But I think that plays into it, because when I listen to your story, not that the story of Cool Foam isn't cool, for lack of a better word, but like
with
your
a K,
personal
with a K.
Yeah, cool with a K. But your personal backstory, you've overcome a lot. You have just really a very unique personal life that you have lived outside of business, that the business is almost like, it's interesting. Like the fact that you've been in business for as long as you have, that's unique. That's not something that everybody is able to accomplish. But like you mentioned, you left the Mennonite faith, which I have not left it, obviously, but I assume it's not an easy task to overtake. Losing 80 pounds, all of those things, right? Those are some major milestones in your background. So you obviously do have that grit and that stubbornness that you were talking about that makes you successful. But do you think how did you develop those skills?
I don't know. That's the question, right? Because if I can do this, and this, I'm not special. Like I'm not gifted. I've just kept learning the lessons. I look back at my Mennonite days, and I was a square peg trying to fit in a round hole. It was not who I was, and trying to fit into those rules and obligations. Jen, there's been a lot of missteps. But what I've realized is I was so far, like living by someone else's rules. I was so far out. I didn't even have a clue what personal integrity looked like. Living a double life was just, that's who I was. That's how I survived. And for me, the biggest thing has been to become the man who, if this is who I say that I am, that's how I want to live my life, whether someone's looking or if the rules say this or no. And that's, I don't know. I don't know that I have a good answer for your question.
Yeah. Well, if we can figure that out, I would love to bottle it and, give it to basically every entrepreneur, because I think that is just the secret sauce.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to keep figuring it out. I don't have it figured out yet.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I think
also,
a lot of it,
a good partner helps a lot.
Yes. Let's talk about your wife, because she is amazing. And
isn't she though?
Yes. And I love when we have conversations with her too, because she will sit there and she just takes everything in, and then she just like throws in a zinger, and you're like, yeah, that's exactly, that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
So
Yep.
she has like such a good pulse on you, on your business. And I think she does a great job of like telling you the truth, but in a way that's not like, in a very good way, right? Like she's encouraging you, but possibly redirecting you at times as you need to be. But and you met very young, right? Like,
we got we met. I was 17 and she was 18, and in the Mennonite world we couldn't date, but we kind of skirted the rules, which we're kind of good at.
That's not surprising to me either.
Yeah. But we skirted the rules and talked on the phone, like fell in love at 17 and 18. And in that system, you've got it, like you can't date, and you're supposed to send a card if you're interested in someone. And if they send a card back, then that tells you that they're interested. We just talked it over and started talking on the phone about once a week, and we'd meet up. She was from Canada, I was from Oklahoma. So we'd meet up, every 6 months to 8 months. And we started communicating that way. And then we got married. I was 20 and she was 21. And just started figuring stuff out. And, it's so fascinating. Like, she's that steady influence in my life that, I mean, there's no way that we could have built what we call it our empire. I mean, our relationship, our kids, everything, it's our empire. There's no way that I think either one of us could have built it on our own without having a relationship like we do. And, we've had to unlearn a lot of things. The Mennonite culture is very patriarchal, and, the man is he's the man of the house, and he's the spiritual authority. And we've had to do a lot of unlearning. Both of us have.
Yeah, so. I could see that. But I can also see, knowing both of you, maybe how that was not the right fit for either one of you.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, you seem... Go ahead.
Well, here's what's fascinating. I probably would still be there if it wasn't for her. She made her decision to get out first. And that was a really bleak time in our relationship because we weren't talking. We weren't really connecting. We talked about business, and that was about it. And I could sense that she was moving away from the church. And I mean, so our group thought that they were the one true church. They were the only church that God smiled on. And that's just, I mean, that's how we'd both grown up that way, but I could see that she was losing that. And I mean, Jen, that was 2013. And I had a plan at that point to basically, I mean, if she left, I would divorce her, and that would mean I could never get remarried. But I was going to figure out how to keep the kids and raise them the right way. And I just and her and I, like, if she would have bowed up and told me at that point that she was leaving, I really think that's what I would have done. And she kept quiet about it, and and let me come to it in my own way. And like, I mean, my drinking in 2020 or the end of 2022, she was quietly talking about, hey, like, you're drinking a lot, but yet she gave me the space to figure it out on my own terms, and I'm so grateful for that.
She is like that. And you have probably both. You have natural inclinations to act the way that you do, but I'm sure over the 20-some years that you've known each other, you obviously learn about how to best convince somebody else to do what you want. But I think that speaks to, like, the relationship that you have built over that time, and knowing each other well enough to be able to, one, know, like, obviously you've had some times that most people have not had to go through. I think everyone in marriage has times where they're like, things are rocky, right? I don't know that anybody has ever had a 50-year marriage that they have not spoken to their spouse for some time or another. But the ability to kind of work through that together and to come back to the heart of the marriage and, like, do you want to get through this together or not? I think it's been really cool to see you on the other side. Obviously, I didn't know you while you were going through all of this, but when I look at you now, that your relationship together feels, I mean, it's so strong, and it is such a powerful thing to watch, and to see how well the two of you work together and how well you interact with each other, and the amount of respect and, like, care that you have for each other. It's just very cool as a
thank you.
outsider. But
thank you.
So this has turned into kind of a marriage talk, but but I think that it plays such a big role in, especially with trade businesses, right? A lot of times it's men running the business, and the wife may or may not be involved, but it's a lot of hours, a lot of stress, a lot of capital that has to be involved in the business, and all of those things are obviously important things for marriage. So I think this is an important conversation to talk about. But so if you have any marriage advice, I'm sure throw it out there.
Well, Yeah. For us, the marriage vows that we started out with, we actually tore those up one day in the ocean down in Mexico.
Oh,
and
really?
said, all right, we're starting over. And our promise to each other is we're going to choose each other every day. That's what makes sense to us. We also used to proudly tell people that we never fought, and we thought that was a good relationship. It wasn't actually. I mean, that wasn't a great relationship at that point. Mm-hmm. But I mean, as far as practical tips, one of the biggest unexpected joys of getting healthy is walking together. And a perfect day, we walk in the morning together and we walk in the evening together. And there's something about moving together, and we can have some tough conversations while we're walking, and it takes the personal barbs out of them. Mm-hmm. Usually. And there's some where there's it does get pretty intense, but just that relationships take time. Like time together. And choosing to do things together and things like that. And walking has been one of the best parts of our health journey.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're accomplishing two things. You're spending time together, but you're also, you're working on yourself, but together. Yeah. I feel like walking makes you feel better anyway. It's hard to be in a bad mood when you're out for a walk, right? So
exactly. Yeah.
All right. So you have intentionally, you're choosing, obviously, you've put your health first for the last couple of years, but you've kind of put everything first. So how? When I listen to it, you're like, oh, my marriage is first, my health is first, my business is first, right? But you've done it in a very well-rounded way. So I'm giving you props to this.
Well, you know what? Thank you for that, because this morning I had a realization this morning, which is why I'm bringing on a virtual assistant, even though part of my brain is kicking and screaming that once I get a virtual assistant going, what am I going to do? So,
yeah, don't you worry, Cory. We will not run out of things for you to do.
So I view my life as I'm trying to build 10 houses at one time. And Cool Foam's a house, Brave builds a house, my health is a house, my relationship, friends, those are all houses. And what I'm realizing is that up until about 2 months ago, like just before you and I started working together, I had been prioritizing my health over my business, which, I was 280 pounds. My A1C was in diabetic range. I needed to do that. But now what's interesting is now I'm focusing on Cool Foam and getting it running in tip-top shape. And what I'm realizing is having Cool Foam on the back burner the last couple of years, there's been an effect on the business. Mm-hmm. And so, but now as I'm ramping up Cool Foam, I've had a couple weeks where I've only got into the gym twice, which is, it's never happened in 2.5 years for me like that. It's Thursday. I haven't been in, I will get into the gym today, but I haven't been in which I was also mountain biking all weekend. So I'm not going to be too hard on myself with that. Mm-hmm. But what I'm realizing is I am trying to do too much, mm-hmm. and to have a virtual assistant, to have you watching our books, projections, all the things that you do. And thank you so much. That's taking time and energy that I don't have to spend on that stuff, because I'm not willing to let my health go the way that I did.
Yeah. So let's talk about.
I'm not willing to let Cool Foam just bump along. Like, we got places to go.
It is possible to do all of the things as long as you have help with it, right? Like, it's not something that you personally cannot do every single thing, but you can manage it all. Yeah. It's just finding the right people to fill you in. So we had a conversation, I think it was last week, maybe week before, something like that, because we were switching gears. Your business, I think I've known you for like 2 months, and a lot of things have happened, but in good ways, right? Like it's almost like just, okay, this is happening. Everything's falling into place. Like things that we said, oh, and like next year we're going to work on, like literally the next week you were calling me. And it's like, we need to do this now. But there have been some things that have fallen into place, and it forces you to make decisions faster than what you had thought. So a couple weeks ago, you called, you were like, I need to hire a salesperson, right? And I agreed with you at the moment, because I was like, yeah, we actually need to get this going faster, because we had just hired a couple of new guys. So I'm like, okay, well, the sales pipeline has to be there, right? Like we have to get in front of this cart. And the more that we started talking, I was like, actually, you are kind of bottlenecking this, but not in the way that you can't actually handle all of the sales. Mm-hmm. You just can't do all of the little things that on top of that. So that's when we had the conversation, kind of switched gears right there at the end. It was like, no, wait, no. Let's actually go back, and we couldn't even hire a salesperson because you don't have any processes in place for that person to follow. So let's get that started first. So I think probably what has been helpful to you is just having another person there to talk with this about and talk through these things, rather than just like trying to make a decision on your own. Because like gut instinct could be right. If you hired a salesperson, it might be fine, but is that the absolute like best way to do it? There's probably a better way, a way that will get you success faster if we kind of put in some of those pieces first, rather than like jumping out there and doing that. So
yep.
I think that's a good lesson, making sure that you're hiring right and in the right order, and finding a good person to talk through some strategy with, perhaps.
Yeah, and so and it's been fascinating. ChatGPT has been. I just started messing around with ChatGPT in February or March of this year, and it has helped me so much realize just how much. And I don't know, I mean, some people may disagree with this, but I've almost used it as a therapist at times. Mm-hmm. And what's fascinating is realizing just how many old stories I have around money, or that I've had around money and success and things like that. And like this, I had this belief that, if I'm going to be a strong, confident guy, it's all on my shoulders. I'm going to protect Suzanne from if we've got cash flow issues or anything like that going on. And if I'm a worthy business person, I should be able to be amazing at everything. And what that ended up doing is I was isolating myself from my team. I've wanted to, that's multiple times I've been really serious about selling Cool Foam and going and working for someone just so I could be a part of a team, because I was so tired of having everything on my own shoulders. And just processing that stuff with a freaking AI thing, like it still blows my mind, but just started realizing, you know what, I got to let people in. I need to ask for help. And I haven't told you this, but I wrote out an ideal day back in 2021 and had put it in Apple Notes and forgot about it. And then a couple weeks ago, I found it and was looking at it. Jen, other than having an Indian Challenger motorcycle and living on a lake, I am living my ideal day every day. And I have a team around me. And you're part of that.
That's funny that you... I love finding old notebooks where I wrote things down in, or like an ideal day. And I'm like, it just gives you that, like, when you stumble upon it, it's like, wow, you really do make a lot of progress in a pretty short amount of time, right? Like and you just don't even realize it. I was talking to a former coworker of mine too. She was trying to kind of work through these same things of like, she's trying to decide what she wants to do down the road. But she like doesn't really have an idea of what she wants to do. And I was like, I used to be that same way. Like I didn't really know what I wanted to be doing, but I knew what I wanted my day to look like. Like I knew what I wanted, how I wanted to spend my day and where I wanted to live and how, like all of those things. So I did the same thing that you did. I like wrote it down, and then stumbled upon it a couple of years later. And I was like, I did it. Like it's crazy. Like I really wanted to work from home because I wanted to be able to hang out with my dog all day. And I mean, that was like, a strong motivator to me to not have to like live by somebody else's schedule. And here we are. So
here you are. Love it.
Anyway, I encouraged her to do that same thing. And then I was like, just hide it away for a while. And, one day you'll look at it and realize you accomplished what you set out to do. Anyway, so let's carry on and talk about how can we kind of bring this full circle. And you have a lot of lessons really that are like sprinkled throughout your life, but it seems like a lot of it is just like you talked about earlier, like that stubbornness and grit, but not in a way that you're always moving forward, right? Like you're taking the information that's given to you, evaluating how you could do better, and then putting that into action. ChatGPT, I think I love it. Also, any clients that are listening to this, every Friday, Cory sends me like a recap from everyone. Send me one of those. Everything that you did that week so that I can start like, it helps me so much looking at, because you put in things like sales calls that you made and how much you invoiced versus how much was accepted, things like that. Like all of those kind of KPIs, we call them here in the financial world and business world, but you put all kinds of things in there. It's like a KPI of your life, really. So I think that's a great thing to always like, we use that term, like you can't improve what you don't measure. And I think you do a really good job of that too, right? Like you figure out how you're going to measure something and put it in place, right? And it's not always a KPI of, I need to call 5 people today. It can be, I need to go on a walk with my wife, that kind of thing. So, when you kind of, how do you come up with your next goal? I guess is like, do you have like that, some people have to have that kind of like rock bottom moment. Do you feel like you always have to have one of those, or do you adjust in before you reach that point?
There's been times, yes, where I've hit rock bottom. In our relationship, I hit rock bottom. And it took that for me to see. I looked at myself. I'm like, dude, you've had one foot out of this relationship. You've expected Suzanne to be there for all your shenanigans, and because that's what your church told her to be, and yet you're not sold out to this relationship. That was a rock bottom moment. But then I think about my drinking. I wasn't at rock bottom. I mean, now looking back, my A1C was 6.9. That's not that far into diabetes territory. I wasn't driving drunk, or it wasn't majorly affecting my relationship yet. It was headed there. I can see that now, but I don't. I've 100% hit. I mean, I've used rock bottom as a motivation before, but then also I've righted the ship before hitting rock bottom. I think the biggest thing though is asking for help. Is when I think that things are all on me. Community, connection, relationship. Those are actually where I thrive and excel and get better. And as far as goals, so when I took a 3-month pause from drinking back in February of 23, and that's when I was like, okay, my testosterone I haven't drank for 15 days, and I still have no energy. Okay, so yeah, testosterone's tanked. Go to the doctor, and yes, my testosterone was tanked, but also my A1C was high enough that it was affecting everything. So that's when I'm like, okay, it's time for a 3-month pause on alcohol, and I'm going to ask for help. And my doctor actually gave me a recommendation to a company called Terra Health, and they helped me for the next 12 weeks figure out healthy, sustainable goals that I could do for the rest of my life. And I still use a lot of that in goal setting now. Is this something that I can sprint for a week and then I'll never pick it up again? Or is it something that I can do for the rest of my life? But I made a goal at that point that I was going to be 180 pounds and 15% body fat with visible abs. And I figured I could do that in 6 to 8 months. Mm-hmm. Well, what I realized in that, I did not hit that in 6 to 8 months. That's almost impossible to do in a healthy manner, in a sustainable manner. But what I realized was I was actually after the feeling that I have 90% of my days now. I have the energy to go downhill mountain biking with my son to do 80 miles in a weekend. I have the energy. I don't need a nap. I can handle almost any challenge that comes up in front of me. My health markers are great. I'm 215 pounds right now. My lowest was 193. That doesn't make me a failure. Some of these goals are important. And big goals, like my 500,000 EBITDA goal. I want to hit that, but I'm close enough to it right now that I'm also looking at it and going, what's the feeling? What do I actually like? Because if it's all about the goal, if I'm not happy right now where my EBITDA is at, I'm not going to be happy when I hit that $500,000 goal. But it's a marker. I'm using goals as markers while I'm on the journey and figuring out what I want. I mean, it goes back to the ideal day. How does this fit into my ideal day?
Mm-hmm. And I think, like you just said, like your goals can change, and mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to hit that goal before you change it. Because if you decide mm-hmm. halfway along the way, like, okay, I made that goal when I didn't know what I was chasing. Like when I didn't, like a goal is important, right? Like your mm-hmm. 500,000. It's important to set something so that you are mm-hmm. headed in a direction.
Yep.
But then constantly to be evaluating as you're getting there, like, is this making me happy? Is that goal realistic for what I want my life to be? And I think I've told you the story because your daughter owns a coffee shop, which I owned a coffee shop too. When I first bought it, my number, like literally from day one, I was like, okay, I want to have multiple locations. Like that, I didn't even question it. I was like, we're going big, right? Like, and so I bought one, and then I bought the second one, I think about 2 years in. And after I had it, I was like, this is terrible. Like, I hate having 2 locations. Neither one of them, I couldn't focus on either one of them because I was like constantly running back and forth. And so it was like, well, I'm not going to ride this out. Like like just because I said that was my goal doesn't mean that I'm going to stick with it, because this is not conducive to my life and where I want it to be. So I ended up closing that second location. But I use that example a lot when I'm talking to people, because I'm like, you don't have to stick with your goals just because you set them, right? Like constantly be thinking whether that's something that you actually still care about or not. And does it get you where you want to be? Sometimes you need to accomplish the goal before you can realize that it wasn't the right one. But
so do you know what, like owning multiple coffee shops, what did you hope that would get you? In my mind, I think it was just that like, it was my marker for success. I was like, well, one is great, but multiple really means that you're successful, right? And that's definitely not the case.
it's multiplying the stresses of one location for very little, in the coffee shop world at least, each additional location is not necessarily like a lot more money, right? Like you are slim margins. And I think it was that like self-worth thing. Like I needed to prove it to myself that I could do it. And I did that, but then I was like, this is not what I thought I wanted.
Yeah. Oh, I so get that. Yeah.
So that's why I think your idea of franchising is a better route than if you were to tell me that you want to be a nationwide brand and you want to have all of these locations and you personally want to be managing them. It's like, maybe that's what you want, but is it? Like, what is the motivator behind that? So great question. Yeah. But all right. Well, any last pieces of advice you want to throw out for anybody? I know we've covered a lot of different topics, but where can people find you if they want to follow you or if they want to have a conversation with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can, my personal Facebook is where I hang out the most. It's Cory Boehs, just my name. Or I do have Braveheart Zone. I'm not using it very much right now, but Braveheart Zone is I've coached a few clients and just I'm no guru, but just helping people whatever they want to do in life. Let's figure out how to get you there. But yeah, I would say my personal Facebook is my biggest platform at this point.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone, go send Cory a friend request or a message. He's got some great advice and obviously some great life experience to back it up. But thank you, Cory, for being on the show today.
Well, thank you. And thank you for everything you do.
It's been a pleasure. You make it easy.
You've been a game changer.
Thanks. All right.